Revealed, the incredible. 40 days before the flood. A miraculous journey of divine transformation. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, the earth was filled with violence and wickedness, and every intention of the heart of humanity was evil continually. Yet amidst the corruption and chaos, one man stood out. Noah, a righteous man, blameless in his generation. He walked with God, listening intently to his voice which called him from the fray of society. It was on the sacred day of his 600th birthday, under the relentless sun, that God's command echoed in Noah's heart. Build an ark, the Lord instructed, a vessel that would ensure the salvation of both his family and a remnant of creation amidst impending judgment. Noah's hands became calloused as they swung the hammer, shaping the timbers of the future refuge. His neighbors scoffed at him, mocking the very notion of a flood, for the skies had never poured down rain. They laughed, but Noah remained steadfast, enduring derision while preaching the righteousness of God. With each swing, he felt a resolve growing in his heart, a promise illuminating the shadows that descended over men's hearts. Every morning, as the sun peeked over the horizon, it would shed light upon the construction site that seemed to rise against the backdrop of sin. Noah's faith became a beacon in a darkened world. He found strength not in the voices of mockers, but in the one who stood beside him, his wife, Naamah, and their 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. They too felt the weight of the calling. They became united in purpose, bonds forged in faith that transcended mere blood ties. Together they labored under Yahweh's directives. As days turned to weeks, the fear of God energized their hands. Faith, once flickering, roared like the flames of the forges where they bent timber into the majestic framework of the ark. 40 days before the rain would commence, a supernatural awe enveloped Noah. As he toiled, pairs of creatures, each one unique, began to approach the ark. The birds of the air, the beasts of the field. Divine orchestration brought them near, responding to a call beyond his understanding. Noah stood breathless, witnessing God's meticulous care as each pair obediently entered the sanctuary he had built. From the lowly dove to the roaring lion, all answered the same beckoning summons, solidifying a sense of both fear and hope within him. As the skies darkened, Noah stood by the massive door of the ark, sensing judgment looming. However, a divine peace washed over him, a deep assurance that his obedience would yield not condemnation, but salvation. As the last of the animals settled within, God himself sealed the door, a decisive act that removed all means of escape as the heavens readied for rain. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select All Notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's Word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's Word speaks to hearts across generations. Now, let's continue with what the Lord did next. Then came the drumming of drops upon the earth, invading the silence of a world that had never known such fury. Terror and faith intermixed in the hearts of Noah and his family, as they were securely bound within their wooden refuge, forged through obedience. The storm raged outside, shrouded in chaos, while within them the promise of preservation stood firm. What lay ahead was a mystery woven into the fabric of divine history, a turning point for creation. Would the waters claim all that was and yet lead to something new? They waited, hearts beating in unison with the storm, fully aware they stood on the brink of God's extraordinary plan for redemption. As the rain fell relentlessly, plunging the earth into a tumultuous embrace, each drop blurred the lines of the world Noah had known. Thunder clapped like the voice of God, reverberating across the mountains as the seas began to churn violently. Waves surged against the sides of the ark, yet Noah felt a calmness within the tempest. The Lord's promise carried him through, a trust forged in the sacred moments spent in communion with his Creator. Day and night blended in the symphony of the flood. The family inside the ark set to their tasks, caring for the creatures that had come to dwell with them. Shem led the charge, ensuring the animals received their due nourishment, while Ham and Japheth secured the structure, gently reinforcing the sanctity of their haven. Naamah offered encouragement, her faith illuminating the darkness as she reminded them of the larger purpose behind their toil. "Remember," she said, her voice steady amidst the chaos, "the Lord has chosen us as instruments of His grace. We must act with love and diligence." Her words resonated deeply in each heart, knitting them closer together against the storm that swirled outside. As the rains intensified, the rising waters poured over the surface of creation, swallowing the land that had been rife with sin. The cries of the desperate echoed from beyond the ark, but within, a solemn silence reigned as Noah and his family sought solace in prayer. They knelt together, hands clasped, beseeching God for understanding of His divine purpose. Then, as the days stretched on, a change came over the atmosphere. The initial terror of the deluge, though deafening, began to yield to a strange tranquility. The distant echoes of destruction had now faded into the rhythm of the waves lapping gently against the vessel. Yet, even in their peace, Noah felt a profound sorrow for the world outside, the people who had scoffed at his warning, who had turned from righteousness to embrace their own wickedness. He yearned for them, lamenting their choices that had led to this fate. In the solitude of the ark, revelations unfolded. Noah pondered the lessons woven in the very fabric of creation. His heart stirred, and he began to understand that this flood was not merely an act of judgment. It was also an act of renewal. The cleansing waters offered a chance for rebirth, an opportunity for the earth to be washed anew, free of the corruption that had plagued it. As the seventh day drew near, a stillness enveloped the ark. A divine presence settled among them, reminiscent of the days when the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters at creation. Hope began to blossom, renewing their spirits. Was it not true that from despair might arise a new beginning? Noah shifted position, seeking to catch glimpses of the world outside. His eyes narrowed as he peered through the high window of the ark at the swirling waters below. Suddenly, an unexpected sight caught his breath. A solitary dove. The creature fluttered above the depths, searching for a place to land. In an instant, the heart of Noah soared with possibility. Would this dove carry back a sign of life? Could the waters begin to recede, heralding the dawn of a future? Thus, as they stood upon the precipice of God's sovereign plan, the tension between destruction and hope throbbed in the air. Little did they know that, with a single return of the dove, a new chapter of creation awaited their hearts. For even as judgment was wrought, redemption was poised to emerge, testifying that the plans of the Lord are always greater than man can comprehend. As the dawn broke on the 8th day, a hush fell over the ark, for hope stirred in the hearts of Noah and his family. The gentle lapping of the water against the vessel mixed with the stillness, creating an atmosphere ripe with expectancy. Their gazes were fixed upon the doorway, minds heavy with the implications of what the dove might bring. Noah, filled with anticipation, whispered to his family, "The Lord watches over us. He will reveal His purposes in due time." His voice, though soft, carried the weight of divine assurance. They gathered together once more, the spirit of unity kindling their faith anew. "Go, my dove," Noah instructed gently, sending forth the bird as an emissary into the vast unknown. They watched, breaths held and hearts thumping, as the dove took wing, spiraling into the damp air. It soared gracefully over the waves, disappearing into the expanse of the horizon. As hours waned, the sun reached its peak, casting rays that glimmered upon the endless waters. Hope mingled with anxiety. Would the dove find a perch upon which to rest? The memory of its return loomed in their minds. Could it bring back proof of life buried beneath the flooding doom? The day passed slowly, each moment cloaked in glimmers of prayer. Evening shadows lengthened across the ark, stretching like the tempter's grasp. In the quietude, Noah offered a prayer, his voice low yet powerful. "O Lord, grant us a sign and seal our hearts with your promise." At last, with the sun sinking toward the horizon, a fluttering sound broke the silence. The family turned with bated breath as the dove returned, its wings moving tirelessly against the backdrop of the fading light. In its beak, it bore a freshly plucked olive leaf, a symbol of restoration blooming from the ruins. Noah's heart raced as the realization dawned upon him. He took the dove in his hand, cradling the olive branch, a testament from the Almighty that his covenant of mercy was unfurling before them. "Behold," he exclaimed, tears lining his eyes, "the waters are receding. The earth will be restored to its beauty." With each passing day, clarity shone upon Noah's spirit, revealing God's sovereign grace. The world, though marred, was set for renewal. Just as the dove had found a nurturing branch, so too would humanity find refuge once more. Time turned tender, and the ark rocked gently as if cradling the hopes of the world. No more did they hear wails of lamentation, but rather a whisper of promise wrapped around their hearts. The flood had done its work of purification. The cleansing waters would birth a creation anew. As they prayed and shared stories, Noah mused upon the implications of what God was doing through the flood, for he sensed that this was only part of a grander plan. Each falling drop had carried away the past, and now the promise of the future echoed in his heart. Yet, even amid their rejoicing, the spirit of inquiry loomed over Noah. What awaited them in this rebirth? And what shadows still lay hidden beneath the surface of the waters? With that thought, a newfound urgency quickened in his spirit. The timbre of hope beat within him, alongside a shadow of what the future might hold. There would be trials ahead, and with them the pressing question remained. How would they navigate this new world forged from judgment yet tempered with grace? As the waters dwindled and the horizon revealed hints of dry land, the deeper mystery of God's sovereign plan began to wriggle within the folds of their hearts, a mystery that even the ark could not keep from unveiling. What would emerge as they stepped forth into a world washed clean but yearning for transformation? As the dawn of the 9th day unfurled, a new stillness enveloped the ark. Noah, filled with expectant awe, peered through the window to the world beyond, a land still cloaked in solitude yet bursting with the promise of fresh beginnings. The olive leaf in his hand glistened in the morning light, a tangible reminder of God's mercy and the covenant of life about to be restored. "Gather, my family," Noah called out, his voice steady and profound. "The time approaches for us to emerge and embrace the new earth." Excitement flickered in their hearts, blending with the solemnity of what was to come. Ham, his son, turned to him, eyes wide with wonder. "Father, what shall we find when we step forth? Will there be life as we knew it, or has all been lost in the depths?" Noah placed a hand upon Ham's shoulder, his gaze unwavering. "The Lord has promised us a renewed creation. He will guide our steps, and we must trust in His plan." And as the sun's warmth enveloped the ark, Noah stooped down and offered a prayer, one that rang out with conviction. "O Lord, grant us courage and wisdom. Prepare our hearts for what lies ahead." With every word, the very wood of the ark trembled under the weight of his plea. It was then, as the day advanced, that the ground beneath the ark began to crack, revealing the dry earth beneath layers of tumultuous waters. Noah's eyes widened with realization. They had waited patiently through the tempest, but it was time for the promised restoration to unfold. The whole family stood united, anxiously observing as the first rays of sunlight kissed the rolled-away waters. A sense of urgency invigorated their spirits. They knew the commandment to multiply and fill the earth awaited them. As they prepared to exit, Shem spoke up, his voice steady yet filled with trepidation. "Will the creatures await us? Will the wildlife, once scorned by the flood, find their way back to us?" Noah turned to him, reassurance springing forth from his heart. "All creation belongs to the Lord. The animals, the birds, and every living thing shall find their place once more. With them comes our responsibility as stewards of the earth." Finally, the moment came. Noah unlatched the door of the ark, and as it creaked open, a breeze laden with hope wafted inside, stirring their hearts with anticipation. Together they stepped into a world washed anew, evoking the creation of old. Before them stretched the land, the dry soil soaking in the rays of warmth, the branches of trees reaching toward the heavens. The earth sighed, a profound expression of renewal. "Noah," called his wife, her voice filled with wonder as she pointed toward the distant hillside. "Look there." A pair of doves took flight over the landscape, spiraling together in joyous celebration. Animals, timid yet curious, began to emerge from the shadows, taking tentative steps into the light. The majesty of God's creation was reawakening before their very eyes. With hearts full of gratitude, they knelt together on the green grass, releasing praises unto the Lord. For every promise fulfilled and every breath bestowed, we worship you, O God. Their voices rose like incense, mingling with the sweet fragrances of renewal. Yet Noah sensed a shadow lurking still, a whisper of uncertainty brushing against the fabric of this fresh start. What challenges awaited them? The earth bore the scars of its reckoning, and he felt in his spirit that the journey was just beginning. As the winds swirled around them, carrying songs of life and beckoning towards the future, Noah recalled the depths behind them, the waters that had once engulfed the world. Even joy could harbor its own trials. In that moment he sensed the truth that beckoned him forward. Amidst the beauty, there remained a call to vigilance. What seeds of faith and shadows of strife would be planted in this renewed earth? As the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting vibrant hues across the sky, a fleeting thought nestled in Noah's heart. God's sovereign plan was unfolding in their midst, and new beginnings often birthed hidden trials. What further mysteries lay entwined in the fabric of creation? The promise of the rainbow, still yet to come, lingered in the air, heralding a story yet unwritten. The true cost of redemption, woven with the truth of the past, awaited their faithful journey ahead. As the sun began to set upon the newly restored earth, Noah and his family rose from their place of prayer, their hearts swelling with gratitude and a sense of purpose. The shadows lengthened, yet the promise of a new dawn loomed on the horizon. Noah called to his sons, "Let us survey this land that the Lord has granted us. We must ascertain what he desires for us in this new beginning." The family, filled with wonder, took their first steps upon the ground, rich and bursting with life anew. The very air was alive with sounds, the chattering of birds, the rustle of leaves, and the distant calls of creatures finding their footing. As they walked, Ham looked upward and spoke, "Father, what shall we name this place? Is it not deserving of a title that reflects the glory of our God?" Noah paused, reflecting on the beauty around him. The trees stretched high as if lifting their arms in praise to their Creator. "Indeed, son, let us call this land Ararat, for it is here that we find our rest in God's mercy." Yet, as they ventured deeper into the landscape, joy turned to solemnity as Noah glimpsed the remnants of what had been. Scattered bones of creatures long lost remained, stark reminders of the flood's toll. The weight of their responsibility began to dawn upon him. This was not a land stripped of promise, but one reborn from the ashes of destruction. "Remember my family," Noah spoke, his voice imbued with gravitas. "This earth craves not only our stewardship but our reverence as well. In this renewal, we must honor all that the Lord has created." As they approached a clearing, a sight unlike any other met their eyes. There, before them, were pairs of animals, nudging each other, obeying the divine call to fill the earth once more. The lions and lambs, the eagles and sparrows, all creatures that had once roamed freely began to emerge, returning with awe-inspiring grace. Noah turned to his family, his heart filled with profound realization. Look upon these creatures. Just as God preserves life, so must we esteem and protect it. We shall be as shepherds guiding them in the ways of righteousness. In this moment, the winds howled softly, as if the earth itself echoed Noah's sentiments. He raised his arms to the heavens and cried out, "O Lord, your faithfulness is great. Guide us in the paths of your will, that we may walk in harmony with all creation." Then, as the stars began to twinkle above, signaling the approach of night, a chill swept across the plains. The family, huddled together, felt the weight of silent shadows gathering beyond the trees. Noah, sensing an urgency in the spirit, gathered them close. "Fear not, for I sense there are trials ahead. The enemy, once vanquished by the flood, is not far. He watches and waits, longing to sow seeds of distrust among us." His wife, Naamah, placed her hand on his arm, her eyes glistening with resolve. "But we shall stand firm, my husband, for we carry the promise of the Lord in our hearts, and we shall not be swayed." The night enveloped them, filled with stars that appeared to twinkle in agreement. Unbeknownst to them, the earth still bore witness to the ancient conflict between good and evil. As sleep began to envelop their weary spirits, Noah gazed up into the vastness above, pondering the mysteries of God's unwavering covenant. What did the morning hold for them? What hidden forces lay ready to challenge their faith? And in that moment of deep contemplation, a cloud formed in the east, ominously dark against the shimmering stars. Noah felt a tug in his spirit, a foreboding whisper that echoed through the ages. Yet, within his heart, he knew the mission lay ahead for them, and no matter the trials, the purpose woven into their lives would ultimately unveil God's sovereign plan. They were destined to be the instruments of a new covenant, a history greater than them all awaited, a testimony of redemption rising just beyond the veil of night. As the dawn broke over the horizon, painting the skies with strokes of gold and crimson, Noah awoke to a world still draped in silence. The air, crisp and filled with the scent of dew, whispered of God's mercy. He rose, his heart heavy with the thoughts of the shadows lurking beyond the trees. He gathered his family, and they knelt together in prayer, seeking divine guidance. "O Lord," Noah implored, "let your light pierce through the darkness that lies ahead. Strengthen us, that we might fulfill our calling to be the caretakers of this renewed creation." After their prayers, Noah stood, his resolve hardened. He turned to his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and spoke, "Let us explore further into the lands of Ararat. We must understand its depths and breadth, for there lies our stewardship, entrusted to us by God." With eagerness and a sense of responsibility, they ventured forth. The morning sun bathed the landscape in warmth as birds took flight, their songs lifting into the heavens. They traveled through dense forests, across babbling brooks, and over rolling hills, marveling at the abundant life that surrounded them. As they crossed a creek, Ham paused and knelt down, a sense of awe washing over him. "Look at these stones, Father," he exclaimed, picking up a smooth rock adorned with moss. "Are they not a testament to your glory?" Noah knelt beside him. "Indeed, son, even the stones cry out praise. All creation resounds with the magnificence of our Creator." But unease flickered in his heart. The beauty of the land concealed challenges yet unseen. As the sun climbed higher, they approached a cliff overlooking the sprawling terrain. Noah's eyes scanned the horizon, and suddenly he felt a shadow flitting across his heart. We must remain vigilant. The days ahead will require of us not only strength, but wisdom. Suddenly, a rustle in the bushes caught their attention. From the thicket emerged a creature, a great serpent, its scales shimmering ominously in the sunlight. It approached with cunning eyes, and a hiss echoed through the air. The family stood rooted in place, an instinctual fear gripping their hearts. "What treachery is this?" Shem whispered, leaning closer to his father. "It is the serpent of old," Noah replied, his voice steady yet foreboding. "Even here in our new beginning, the enemy seeks to disrupt our faith and lead us astray." With unwavering courage, Noah stepped forward. "You have no power here," he declared, his voice ringing with authority. The serpent recoiled, its eyes narrowing. "Foolish man, do you think the flood has banished me? I will sow seeds of doubt among you, even in this paradise," it hissed, venom dripping from its words. But Noah stood firm, a light of resolute faith igniting within him. "The Lord has established his covenant, and he shall protect us. We will not be moved by your lies." The serpent, sensing the strength of their resolve, slithered away into the shadows, leaving behind a lingering chill. Nama stepped closer to Noah, her voice barely above a whisper. "What is our next step, my love? The enemy is clever. We must be wiser still." "It is clear," Noah replied, gazing into the distance. "We shall build an altar to the Lord, to commemorate his faithfulness. We will call upon his name and offer our gratitude, lest we be tempted to forget his providence." Thus, with purpose renewed, they gathered stones and erected an altar, dedicating it to God. As they lit the fire, its flames danced towards the heavens, a fragrant offering rising up. They sang hymns of praise, voices merging with the melody of the birds above. But in the dark corners of the earth, the serpent plotted, whispering to the winds and the heart of man. Unknown to Noah and his family, a pivotal dance of divine providence and human choice was set in motion. How they navigated the impending trials would determine the legacy of their lineage, echoing through generations yet to come. As the day waned and twilight descended upon the land, Noah held on to a profound truth, that the covenant of the Lord was as steadfast as the mountains. What lay ahead of them was uncertain, but he sensed the presence of divine purpose entwined with their every step. And as the stars began to glimmer once again, the promise of a new dawn echoed across the heavens, leaving Noah and his family wonderstruck before an unfolding mystery of God's sovereign design, one that would mold the generations of mankind, a purpose greater than their own. As the first stars twinkled in the vast canvas of night, Noah's family gathered around the altar, their hearts anchored in prayer and praise. The flames flickered, casting shadows that danced upon their faces, a reminder of the divine presence that lingered among them. Noah spoke, his voice firm yet gentle. "Let us not only find comfort in this place, but also seek understanding of God's will." Shem nodded, eyes bright with inquisitiveness. "Father, what signs should we look for? How will we know we are walking in the path he has laid before us?" Noah considered his son's question, reflecting on the promise of God that echoed in his heart. "We will read the signs hidden in creation itself. The heavens declare his glory, and the earth speaks of his wonders." He looked at the stars, each a witness to the covenant made with Noah, each a reminder of hope and divine assurance. As they prepared to return to their dwelling, a sudden rustle broke their reverie. The serpent, now emboldened, emerged from the darkened brush. "You believe you can thwart my designs," it taunted, slithering around a nearby tree. "Even here, under the light of your altar, doubts can flourish." "Do not be deceived," Noah shouted, hands raised in authority. "You are nothing but a shadow of what was and will be no more. We are the heirs of a promise, and you will not distract us from it." The serpent paused for a moment, its eyes glinting with malice. "Ah, but the heart of man remains fickle, does it not? I can whisper fears deeper than any flood could wash away." With that, it turned and disappeared into the underbrush, leaving a tense silence behind. The family exchanged troubled glances, sensing the gravity of the serpent's words. Nama stood up, her voice steady. "What can we do to fortify ourselves against such treachery? We must arm our hearts with the truth. We shall write them upon our hearts and teach them to our children," Noah declared. "For the Lord has instructed us, saying, 'You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise.'" In the cool of that evening, they shared stories of their ancestors, of Adam's creation, Abel's offering, and Enoch's walk with God. With each tale, the weight of the past intertwined with their present, planting seeds of faith that could not be uprooted by doubt. As days turned into weeks, Noah led his family in growing their faith. They tended to the land, planting seeds not only of grain but also of promises, nourishing a community that began to take form, animals drawn to their kindness, seeking shelter from the shadows of the nearby wilderness. Yet, beneath the harmony, the serpent's influence still simmered, lurking in the hearts of those who had not yet encountered the truth. Whispers began to stir among men as they sought their own paths, questioning the wisdom of a God who was silent during troubled times. The adversary's voice crept into their presence, sowing discord in the hopes of extinguishing the light Noah's family sought to share. One evening, while the family walked under a canopy of stars, Ham raised a concern that troubled his heart. "Father, why does it seem the darkness grows thicker even as we strive to bring light? Will there be a reckoning for these whispers that lead us astray?" Noah paused, considering his son's words. "Indeed, son, though the shadows loom, there is a promise that stands eternal. The Most High has set forth a plan, revealed through our steadfastness and faith. He will hold us accountable, and even through trials, His purpose shall be fulfilled." As they stood atop a hill, overlooking their growing camp, Noah recognized a growing unease within his spirit. Would their faith be enough to withstand the storms that were sure to come? What trials lay ahead that would test their resolve? The night deepened, and an otherworldly stillness enveloped them. Noah prayed fervently, asking for visions of clarity and strength. And in that holy moment, he felt a rush of divine revelation, a deep assurance that God's sovereign plan was not only unfolding but was intricately tied to their obedience. With renewed resolve, Noah lifted his voice in prayer. "O Lord, let us not forget the covenant made, that we might not only stand firm but thrive as examples of your glory. Reveal to us that which we cannot see, that we may lead those around us into the light of your presence." As dawn broke anew, Noah instinctively knew the days ahead would challenge them beyond measure, but the framework of God's covenant was their shield. And through every encounter, every whisper, and every shadow, His sovereign purpose began to weave a tapestry of grace and redemption that was yet to be unfurled in the ages to come. What awaited them was not merely survival, but a miraculous journey of divine transformation, a journey that would echo through generations, with eternal significance etched across the pages of time. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the air was rich with the promise of a new day, yet shadows lingered over Noah's heart. He gathered his family once more, feeling an urgency pressing upon him. "My beloved ones," he began, "the days we tread upon are numbered. The God who delivered us from the waters of destruction is now preparing us for what lies ahead." Shem leaned closer, sensing a weighty revelation. "Father, what is it that we should do? How can we prepare for the signs you speak of?" Noah's eyes glistened with the light of understanding. "The Lord has instructed me. We must not merely build a vessel but also forge our spirits in faith and obedience. Let us gather not only materials for the ark but also wisdom from above." In the days to come, Noah led them in tasks of greater preparation. Each hammering of nails echoed in the valley like a heartbeat, every plank laden with devotion. As they labored, the serpent's whispers grew louder in the shadows, lingering far beyond their assembly. One day, as they worked under the sun, a traveler approached. He was rugged from travels, his clothes dust-covered, and his eyes shone with curious intent. "What is this monument you are constructing?" he inquired, a smirk playing at the corner of his lips. "Have you lost your minds or followed a madman?" Noah stood resolute, his voice reverberating with conviction. "This is not merely a structure, but a refuge prepared by the hand of God. A flood is to come, a cleansing of the earth to rid it of wickedness. Come, friend, heed the warning, and join us in turning toward the Creator." The traveler laughed heartily. "A flood? You believe the heavens will break forth? Who has sent you such nonsense?" He turned to leave, but Noah's spirit was stirred. "Wait," Noah called out, his heart swelling with urgency. "This is the voice of truth. Do not let your heart harden, for the waters shall wash away what has been built on iniquity. Come closer, and I shall tell you of his mercy." Yet the man scoffed, departing into the shadows. The weight of his dismissal hung heavy upon Noah and his family, feelings of sorrow layered with the sting of doubt. In secret, the serpent chuckled, slinking away into the folds of creation, knowing the seed of doubt it had sown might flourish. But Nama, sensing the heaviness in their hearts, approached Noah and spoke with gentle courage. "Do not be cast down, my love, for the Lord is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble." "Indeed," Noah replied, though fatigue tugged at his spirit. He summoned the strength of the promise, a covenant that spoke not only of judgment, but of hope. Days rolled into weeks, and the tasks of preparation intensified. They began to gather animals, pairs of each kind as instructed. The landscape transformed as they built a haven, a testament to a prophetic future. Every conversation now echoed with anticipation, yet darkness encroached. The cries of those without hope grew more strident, each refusal to heed the warning amplifying their need for redemption. One evening, as Noah stood firm at the entrance of the ark, he sensed the atmosphere shift. The winds whispered like a divine harbinger. "O Lord," he prayed, "send forth your Spirit, reveal your ways, that they might witness your glory." The heavens began to stir, and a cloud rolled across the sky, darkening the horizon as if the very breath of creation responded to the cry of his servant. In this moment, a profound tranquility filled Noah, a divine assurance that they were precisely where they needed to be within the unfolding plan of God. Before long, a voice emerged, carrying the weight of eternity. "Prepare your heart, Noah, for the waters shall rise, but my covenant will sustain you and your family. There is a remnant that will be saved, and they shall bear witness to the depths of my mercy." With this divine affirmation, Noah looked to the horizon, his heart ignited with fervor. Warned by the Spirit, he now sought to gather those willing to embrace the truth. Yet what lay beyond the swell of these mounting clouds? He sensed an urgency, the outpouring of events that would secure not only their survival but also the revelation of God's immense plan of redemption. Would the hearts of men turn back before it was too late? Would they recognize the hand of the Almighty amidst the approaching storm? The answers were shrouded in sacred mystery, leaving Noah with an unquenchable longing to unveil God's sovereign purpose hidden behind each cloud. The time was drawing near, and the chronicles of faith were poised on the threshold of everlasting change. The very skies began to darken, a foreboding heaviness resting upon the earth as Noah and his family pursued their labors. Each day brought fresh resolve. Each hour bore witness to their unwavering commitment to the task given by God. Time pressed upon them like the tide before a storm, and Noah felt the pulse of divinity quickening in the air. Shem approached his father, coupling courage with curiosity. "Father, what shall we do if our neighbors come to mock us again? Their scorn grows like weeds, and my heart grows weary." Noah placed a steady hand upon Shem's shoulder. "Fear not, my son. For each mockery they utter, we shall answer with faith. Let their disdain fuel our devotion, even as we remain steadfast in truth. Remember, the Lord has not only commanded us to build this ark, but also to proclaim His message of mercy." Thus encouraged, Shem returned to his work, wielding his tools with renewed vigor. As the days unfolded, the family united their efforts, each act woven into a tapestry of faith. Nama raised her voice in song, stirring their spirits amidst the toil, while Japheth and Ham painstakingly crafted the vessel's frame, their hearts echoing their father's unwavering conviction. But the undercurrent of darkness did not cease. Outside their sacred circle, laughter mingled with jeers, a cacophony that soon became a familiar refrain. One evening, as they labored late into twilight, the throng of onlookers swelled, eyes glistening with scorn. Their words dripped with derision. "Where is this flood, madman? Where are the waters you proclaim?" Noah, compelled by the unction of the Almighty, stepped forth. "Cursed are ye who scorn the warnings of the Lord. Repent and turn. This is the call to return to righteousness. The flood will come, and with it a cleansing. Turn from wickedness before it is too late." At his words, they erupted into laughter, dismissing his urgency as folly. Yet, in that very mockery, Noah found resolution. He turned back to his family, the beating of his heart quickening with every pulse of the heavens. Time passed as an hourglass spilled sand, the threshold of divine fulfillment drawing ever closer. As Noah watched the gathering storm clouds churn above, he sensed the divine presence thickening in the air. Days blended into one another, each moment heavy with expectation. Amidst these trials, a whisper of hope emerged. One day, as he stood by the ark's threshold, a man approached with a spirit of sincerity reflected in his eyes. "I have listened to your words, Noah," he said softly. "My name is Zimri, and my heart stirs within me. Is there still room for belief, even for one such as I?" Noah, surprised yet overjoyed, embraced Zimri with warmth. "Come, my friend. There is always hope in the mercy of our God." As the man joined the family in their endeavors, it became evident that the tide of hearts was beginning to shift, though slowly and with great struggle. The days stretched before them, drenched in both labor and fervent prayer, while the ominous clouds loomed ever larger overhead. Then, as the twilight of the 40th day approached, the first drops of rain began to fall, hesitant, gentle, but unmistakably prophetic. The earth trembled as creation seemed to hold its breath. Noah raised his gaze to the heavens, feeling the weight of divine purpose drenching the land. "O Lord, this is but the beginning of your wondrous plan. Let your will be done, and may my family be faithful until the end." Suddenly, a great rumble echoed across the distance. The very fabric of creation seemed to pause, as if witnessing the unfolding of a sacred narrative. What lay ahead was hidden beneath layers of divinity, yet a promise echoed softly in the whispers of the rain. He who promised was faithful, and his plan unfurled like an undulating wave of mercy, poised to redeem. "Prepare, O sons of men," Noah murmured, for the return of the unyielding waters would be but a precursor to the greater outpouring of God's limitless grace. And with that realization, a newfound urgency ignited within him, a sense of destiny intertwined with an eternal hope yet to be unveiled. In the haze of the rising floodwaters, the world outside the ark metamorphosed into a tumultuous sea, swallowing all that had been as it heralded the dawn of a new age. Inside the sturdy vessel, Noah and his family huddled together, their spirits brimming with both trepidation and faith. The rain fell like the very tears of heaven, each droplet a testament to the divine convictions that had led them thus far. As the water surged, engulfing the vast landscapes of their memories, it washed away the remnants of a world steeped in iniquity, cleansing the earth of its corruption. Yet within the walls of the ark, hope reigned. Noah looked upon his family, their faces illuminated by the dim light that flickered from the lanterns, and he spoke with a powerful, firm voice. "We have endured the storm, and through perseverance we shall witness his promise fulfilled." Days morphed into a vast sea of hours, yet the family maintained their refuge, tending to the creatures nestled in the embrace of their care. Under the watchful eyes of the Almighty, they shared stories of creation's splendor, singing praises that echoed against the timbers and mingled with the rhythmic lull of the waves. Then, at the culmination of 40 days, a profound silence fell upon the vessel, a divine stillness that gripped the hearts of all within. The rain ceased, and though the waters still coursed darkly around them, a gentle whisper of peace enveloped Noah. He took a deep breath and approached the ark's window, peering into the abyss of the unknown. "Family," he said, "the Lord will reveal his promise soon. Let us prepare our hearts to receive what he has in store for us." In his soul, Noah stirred with an anticipation that transcended their immediate struggle. He understood that the flood was not merely an end, but a poignant beginning, a transformative act of divine grace meant to reshape creation. It was a calling to restore and to steward, and though the future remained uncertain, he trusted that the hand of God shaped their pathway. With that thought, he sent a dove aloft, longing for a sign of life beyond the ark's embrace. They waited, hearts entwined with prayer, hoping that the heavens would reveal the earth's condition. Hours deepened into a quiet span of time, and at last the dove returned, a freshly plucked olive branch nestled in its beak. "Behold!" Noah exclaimed, joy erupting like a fountain from his heart. "Life stirs anew. The floodwaters recede, and the earth is reclaiming its form." Elated, they gathered around, their hands clasped, offering thanks to the God who delivers. "You have fulfilled your promise, O Lord," they proclaimed, their voices rising like offerings unto the heavens. The next morning, Noah unlatched the door of the ark, and as it creaked open, a wave of fresh air, mingled with the scent of revitalized earth, washed over them. He led his family down the plank, each step into the sunlight awakening the deep yearning for life once more. Nature greeted them with vibrant colors and sounds, a symphony of life reborn amid the remnants of judgment. Yet Noah was acutely aware of the weight of responsibility that lay before them. They would not only inhabit this new world, but would need to nurture it, cultivating life while adhering to God's commands. He gathered his family around him and spoke with conviction. "The Lord has restored us, and he calls us to be caretakers of his creation. We must walk in harmony with the land and honor every creature, for they are also his works of wonder." In that moment of resolve, clouds parted, revealing a brilliance above that sparkled with divine splendor. The sun cast a rainbow across the sky, its colors radiant and ethereal, knitting together threads of promise and faith. Noah beheld it in profound reverence, sensing that this was not merely a sign to them but a declaration to all generations. God's covenant with all flesh, a testament of love amidst the storms of life. He fell to his knees, overwhelmed by gratitude, and his family joined him in worship. "O Lord, your faithfulness endures forever," he cried, tears streaming down his face as they embraced the weight of grace that washed over them. As the sun set in a blaze of color, illuminating their hearts and the new world around them, Noah rose with a renewed conviction. "Let us now go forth, my family. We shall build an altar to the Lord as a tribute to his unwavering mercy, and through our dedication we shall reveal his glory to the nations." With hope ignited in their hearts and the light of divine promise guiding their path, Noah and his family stepped boldly into their new reality, ready to embrace God's purpose for their lives amidst the beauty and challenges awaiting them on this rekindled earth. Now, dear viewers, the finality of this chapter mirrors the promises God unfailingly keeps. If this narrative of hope has stirred your spirit, take action. You need to subscribe now to stay connected to God's Word, for it nourishes the soul and transforms lives. Leave a like now to help spread God's Word through the algorithm so that many might hear His truth. Comment below with your reflections. How has this powerful biblical story impacted your faith? And don't wait even one more second to share this powerful testimony with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's truth. Together, let us bear witness to His everlasting love and light.